discussion during a shortened coffee break. We'd like now to move on to the next point of our agenda. My name is Svante Cornell. I'm the director of the Central Asia-Caucasus Institute. And I would like to welcome, as you can see on our screen, Ambassador Terhi Hakala, an old friend, both of our institute and a personal friend who has a distinguished diplomatic career. She is a Finnish diplomat with a long multilateral experience, I would say. Ambassador Hakala has held a number of positions that are very relevant to the CAMCA region, even before being appointed as the EU Special Representative for Central Asia. Ambassador Hakala, among others, has been the head of the OSCE mission in Georgia. She has been the Finnish ambassador to the South Caucasus countries. She has been a Finnish ambassador to India, and she has also been head of the Department of Eastern European and Central Asian Affairs at the Finnish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, along with a stint as the head of the Finnish representation to the United Nations offices in Geneva. She has been the EU Special Representative for Central Asia since 2021. And as you can imagine, she has a broad experience involving the northern neighbor of this region, the southern neighbor of one of the southern neighbors of this region, and so forth, as well as obviously having experience of both Central Asia and the South Caucasus. That provides, I think, a very strategic perspective on how the European Union should approaches this region. Ambassador, we'd like to welcome you virtually to Bishkek. We know you're a frequent visitor and traveler to this region. I would like to ask you to start with an update on the EU relationship with the Central Asian states and how the nature of this relationship has changed in the past several years following the events in Afghanistan and in Ukraine, and how you see the European perceptions of Central Asia changing along with this.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Svante. Good to hear you. We made it. I mean, I really wanted to be with you in Bishkek this morning. Good morning, all participants. I see many familiar names on the list of participants, but I'm in Dushanbe. Very good morning from sunny Dushanbe. We've been running a couple of hours here already on security matters. But the connectivity is obviously not so good. So we couldn't make it to Bishkek this morning. Thank you for inviting me. First of all, it's a great pleasure to be with you today. Yes, after 21, the geopolitical environment changed dramatically. I don't know, was it a coincidence when I started in this job or why it happened exactly at the same time. But nevertheless, the regime change in Kabul, then the war in Ukraine has changed the security environment also for Central Asia dramatically. Now, later on, of course, Middle East and the events there. What the European Union has been doing, actually, we have raised the level of our dialogue to the highest level. So we have had leaders meeting, two of them, one in Astana, second one in Cholpon-Ata, Kyrgyzstan last year. And we are preparing now the first official full-fledged summit, as we call it, with the European leaders and Central Asian leaders later this year. So we have taken a decision to politically support Central Asia, but not just politically, because we have a lot of going on. We have regular regional meetings, and we have them, of course, from the EU institution side, but also from the member states. Since I'm representing the member states, I try to keep that in mind, that we definitely have a Team Europe approach, and we can see that several member states have been very, very active also on the highest level during these 2 years. We have established regular forums. We have an economic forum to boost the economic cooperation. We have a civil society forum regularly to have the people-to-people contacts, and we definitely are doing a lot in the regional context. Of course, we have the bilateral tracks with all 5 countries, and we have strengthened our agreements, our framework agreements. You might know that we have an enhanced partnership and cooperation agreement in force with Kazakhstan already since 2020. But now we are going to sign an agreement with Kyrgyzstan, with your host country today. Also, Uzbekistan is ready for signature quite soon. It's still in the EU bureaucracy in Brussels, but to be finalized soon. And then we are negotiating with Tajikistan. Also, certain steps have been taken with Turkmenistan in this regard. We have also developed our dialogue on critical raw materials and renewable energies. It's a two-way street, of course. EU has an interest in Central Asia. Central Asia has welcomed EU to cooperate, and this has had positive results during the couple of years. Also, I want to mention the parliamentary track. The parliamentary cooperation dialogue has improved, and we hope, of course, now we saw the election results last weekend, and I hope that the new parliament groupings will also get more involved in the dialogue with Central Asia. We have introduced new initiatives under the Global Gateway initiative of the European Union. You know, that was launched also 21 globally, but Central Asia is, of course, an important part of it. And it is about connectivity, connecting us together also physically with transportation corridors. It is about environmental dialogue, environmental big thematic issues, water, energy, climate change, health, all these big issues which are connecting us, and actually we are sharing the same worries and same prospects. So all in all, I think that in a nutshell, we have done a lot in these 2-3 years. And intend to do so. So the kind of basis is now built for future cooperation.
Thank you. If we dive a little bit down to the specifics, I know that there was recently a discussion at the higher level political security dialogue, especially focused on the issue of regional cooperation in Central Asia. And there was a reference made to, I think the quote was, growing the international subjectivity of the region. Obviously, this, in terms of strengthening and institutionalizing regional cooperation in Central Asia. Could you elaborate perhaps on the discussions about this and how the EU plays a role in helping foster regional cooperation?
Sure. Look, first of all, I would say that our strategy, which was approved 2019, and then the joint roadmap, which we approved together with Central Asian ministers last autumn. So it has a regional approach altogether, because we definitely see that in the current environment, and also looking into the big challenges the region is facing, we need to strengthen the regional cooperation. And of course, to our great delight, this has happened, that we see increasingly improved cooperation between the Central Asian countries. On the top level, the leaders have established their yearly consultative leaders meetings, and we are definitely supporting that track very much. And of course, we are with our formats, foreign ministers, leaders, we are supporting a regional approach. But as I mentioned, the bilateral track is, of course, equally important, because countries are different. They have different priorities a bit, and different level of cooperation and possibilities for that. So we have to take these special features into account. But we have also our programs. If you look at that, we have regional dialogues. You mentioned the security dialogue. Security is becoming, of course, one big issue here, and it's one of our priorities. But our programmatic work is also tailored for regional approach. And there we have the platforms, as I said, but also the thematic topics which unite all of us. So the programs are more and more involving the whole region. And let's say today I'm here in the water conference in Dushanbe, and we have been discussing a lot with all Central Asian interlocutors about the regional challenges in water, environment, climate, food security, nexus, all that. So there is an increasing understanding, of course, that we have to do this together, and Central Asians have to do this together. So with all our tools at our disposal, we support this development.
Thank you. I'd like to ask you a little bit about how the EU priorities have evolved over time. Obviously, you referred to the changes in the regional situation in the past several years. Obviously, security issues have always been important in this region. They've come to the forefront. And the EU itself is changing in its nature, if you will. It was not so much always focused on security issues in its outreach to other countries and regions. But increasingly, the EU is becoming more of a security actor. And would you say that there is a shift to a greater attention to security issues as well, alongside all the other issues on the agenda in your engagement with your Central Asian counterparts?
Sure. Look, the strategy is, I think it's excellent. It's still very valid, but it's like a Christmas tree. It has a lot of details. And when we approved it, it was the COVID hit us all. So the implementation started a bit slower than we had expected. I mean, for natural reasons. And this is exactly why we were tasked by the leaders in Choponata, maybe Astana already earlier, that we would establish this joint roadmap. And it has the priorities clearly set. It has altogether, I think, almost 80 action points. But the main part is focused on two things, connectivity and security, and both in kind of wider understanding of the word. If we start from connectivity, as I mentioned, that we definitely understand that we need better connections. We have been speaking about it for years, as those who have been involved in Central Asia or South Caucasus, you know that European Union has been planning this for years. But now this is for real. We are speaking about the Trans-Caspian Transport Corridor. Some mention always or say that it's the middle corridor we are talking about. The middle corridor is mainly Kazakhstan, but now we are talking about the whole region also to improve the intra-regional connectivity. And then through Caspian Sea, through South Caucasus, Black Sea, or Turkey to Europe. And this is a big effort from the European side. We organized also a investors forum last January in Brussels. And to start with, we actually got commitments of 10 billion for this project, which is based on an EBR study on sustainable connectivity. And of course, it has hard programs and hard projects, but also soft approach like the harmonization of regulations, the soft borders, and so to say establishing a corridor which really is economically viable for the future years and future transportation logistics. We need diversification. So this is one leg. And of course, under this one, we have also the wider topics of improving trade, business environment, investment, climate, etc. Then we have the security leg, which is actually also very wide. We start from the climate change and we end up with counterterrorism, training of law enforcement, reform of borders, and all that. So it's also a very wide topic, but it's under this security umbrella. And we have, of course, the the regional dialogues. And lately, we have also included to our toolbox dialogue on counterterrorism, extremism, online activities, organized crime. So we try to look at it all together, because we all know that the challenges are huge, stemming from Afghanistan, but also from online recruitment of terrorist organizations and all kind of sabotage attempts here and there, as you know, in this security environment we are living in. So definitely there is a lot going on, and I can see that also in this topic, the cooperation between the Central Asian countries is improving on different levels and with different institutions. It has, you know, that it's always difficult for the security structures or security services to compare notes, but this is happening increasingly, and I'm very personally very happy that this is happening.
Thank you. Ambassador Hakala, you travel a lot, not only to Central Asia. Very recently, you were also in Baku, I believe, to discuss
Yes.
Connectivity and transport issues. Our sense, my sense particularly, has been that both in the EU and the United States, we've had sometimes a failure to link the situation in Central Asia with that in the South Caucasus. We've tended to look at them as separate worlds, whereas obviously they are connected, not least in terms of the South Caucasus being the connection linking Europe with Central Asia, and obviously linking Turkey with Central Asia as well. Was your visit to Baku an indication that this is changing and that we now have a more, should we call it a holistic view of how these regions are connected with one another?
Thank you. Yes, actually it is. I must say that, let's face it, we all work in silos, in too many silos. And definitely, of course, we have dealt with South Caucasus and are dealing with South Caucasus in different divisions in Brussels and different institutions and different directorate generals in the Commission also. But yes, this kind of bigger picture is definitely there, and we understand, of course, that when we speak about this corridor, east-west or west-east, so of course it goes through South Caucasus, and that connection is important. And of course, we also see that the Central Asians and the South Caucasian states are more and more having also dialogue and improved relationships. So there is a common understanding. And also in Brussels, I would say, we are looking into our instruments and coordinating much better, I would say, nowadays. And it's clear also that these two regions are different, but there are issues which join them. And I'm not talking about kind of combining the Eastern Partnership with our portfolio in Central Asia, not at all, but there are elements which actually support each other and which can be used in our dialogue about the wider region.
So I'm going to ask you a question that may be difficult to answer, if you will, from the perspective of only your specific position. Obviously, in discussing the connectivity issues, we're not talking only about containers, we're talking about energy. We're talking particularly about natural gas supplies from the Caucasus and Central Asia, from the Caspian Basin to Europe. At the same time, the EU, just like the United States, has imposed restrictions on itself in terms of how we engage in anything relating to fossil fuels. How do you view this as this seeming contradiction as a problem, or is it something that you were able to navigate and the EU is able to navigate around?
Look, we have our energy dialogue, of course, with the countries, and we buy mainly oil and gas from Kazakhstan. I mean, Kazakhstan is our main partner in energy deliveries. This is for sure. We are more and more talking about renewables and green hydrogen with several Central Asian countries. Also, of course, I'm in Tajikistan. So hydro energy, of course, is one of the options for the whole region. The European Union now, after the war started, or the Russian attack in Ukraine, we of course diversified our sources of energy, and the Commission made a quick calculation where to buy more, and we've done it. We've diversified. Some countries are of course still buying from Russia, but also increasingly from Kazakhstan through the existing pipelines through South Caucasus, through Baku, Tbilisi, Ceyhan, and Erzurum. But of course, there have been some discussions about the resources in Turkmenistan, but for the time being, we haven't been able to find financing for this kind of pipeline which comes from Turkmenistan. So basically, what we are looking at is renewables, the options for green energy, different variants and alternatives. So, but this energy dialogue is going on with all countries, of course, one way or another.
Turkey is another country that your travels have taken you to. Of course, everybody in this room knows that Turkey has become a lot more active in both Central Asia and the South Caucasus in recent years. It has emerged in some ways as a power that's been involving itself in security and defense issues, unlike many other foreign partners of these countries, and it's in some ways been seen as an increasing counterbalance to Russia's role in this region. How much is there a convergence of views between the EU position and policy on Central Asia affairs and Turkey's activity in this region? And do you see any potential for an alignment or coordination of EU and Turkish positions?
Turkey is very important for the whole corridor and all the countries in the region, not just bilaterally, but of course through also the organization of Turkic states. I mean, we have Turkic speaking countries and as they call it, the Turkic family. Of course, European Union has its policy towards Turkey, and that's another issue, and we have certain difficulties in that relationship, and it's maybe not developing into that direction we would have wanted. But what I want to say is that we look at Central Asia also with similar classes, that we want to have connectivity, we want to have improved economic ties, we want to have prosperity. In Central Asia, we are supporting the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Central Asian states, and we really want to develop the security dialogue and the thematic dialogue in the big picture. There are certain limitations, and one issue, of course, is the organization of Turkic states. There is the issue of the secessionist part of Cyprus, which has been now approved as an observer in the Organization of Turkic States. And we will see now how that develops. We have been able in the current situation to avoid further problems with our Central Asian partners, but Cyprus is member of European Union, and in European Union we defend our member states. So that is the approach, but that I see as an obstacle if further steps will be taken in recognizing or ratification of the observer status of Northern Cyprus, and or the secessionist part of Cyprus. But otherwise, we are having a good dialogue with Turkey. We are very well aware of each other's ideas and plans and visions for the region. So we do as much as we can with Turkey to work together in the current situation.
Ambassador, we could continue all day speaking about this wonderful region and all the activities that you have been involved in here. I'd like to, unfortunately, we are running out of time, so I'd like to end with a question relating to the opening statement that Professor Starr made this morning, talking about what this region will look like 3 to 5 years from now. Specifically with regard, obviously, to your position, in 5 years, we hope you still will be in place as the EU Special Representative to Central Asia. Whether that materializes or not, I wonder, what do you think would be your vision for how the EU relationship with Central Asia will look like in 5 years? For example, will we see some of the instruments that are in place for the South Caucasus, like the Eastern Partnership, being extended, whether in the same name or under a different name, to Central Asian countries? Are there any other changes, whether they be incremental or more radical, that you would see in terms of how the EU's relationship in Central Asia will have developed 5 years from now?
Thank you. That's a good question. And I don't want to answer the first part, because in 5 years, I'm already, I think, retired sooner or later. But in any case, look, Svante, and hello to Fredrik also. It would have been good to see you in Bishkek. But look, let's see. I mean, first of all, I would, of course, hope, and I definitely hope, that the connectivity has improved in the 5 years, because we are starting now, and these are long-term projects. So in 5 years, we should see really concrete, so to say, improvement in our connectivity, also through South Caucasus, absolutely. But of course, much depends on the security environment, how we can handle these challenges we have in the current situation. But I would say that in 5 years, we have a kind of regular dialogue, a bit more contacts, a bit more dialogue between the civil societies, member states, civil societies, and so that it becomes a kind of active dialogue on all levels, politically, economically, and I hope that the European companies will find their way to the Central Asian market. Of course, I mean, that depends also on the investment climate, the WTO memberships of Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan also. I hope Uzbekistan will be a member of WTO in 5 years already, because it's a big market. So all in all, but much depends, of course, on the war in Ukraine and how it will have an impact, in what kind of space we can develop this cooperation, and how it can flourish, I would say, so that we can really concentrate on that, because of course the lion's share of our money and attention goes to the war, to stop the war and to support Ukraine. But Central Asia is important, and I hope that in 5 years we have developed all that, what I have explained today, and deepened and strengthened. But also maybe we then finally have been able to write a new strategy which has a very positive outlook for further generations and next generations.
Wonderful. Thank you, Ambassador Hakala. We would, of course, have liked to have you with us in Bishkek, but obviously we would welcome you to a future CAMCA forum, and we hope you'll be able to join us. Now you are very close to us. You're in Dushanbe, but not as close as we would have liked. We hope you have success in your endeavors, both in your current trip and in the future. And with that, I'd like to hand over the floor to my friend Zafar. We will have directly, without any breaks, without anybody leaving the room, we will move directly to our next discussion. Zafar, please, the floor is yours. Again, Ambassador Hakala, thank you.
Thanks, Svante, and thank you. Have a nice day.